Hey, what's going
Hey,
on, man?
all right. How's it going, man?
Let's go ahead. I don't know if we've ever did an interview before. I know you've been on a couple of ones
Right.
we've done and stuff, but go ahead and give your name for the audience.
Lester Duck Warner, the first. Um,
And you from where?
was born in Kansas City, Missouri, but we were raised here in Kansas City, Kansas. Went through elementary school at Dunbar and Northeast, and a faithful graduate and a very proud graduate of Sumner High School.
All right, you've been playing music for how many years now?
Um, I would say almost 60 years.
Wow.
Almost 60 years.
And any brothers and sisters? You got other?
Yes, I have other brothers and sisters. Uh, we all sang together because my father was a minister, and so we all sang in church. But my youngest brother, he had the opportunity to go a little further out there. He ended up singing with Marvin Gaye for a couple of years. He also sung with the Stanley Review, which was the group that backed James Cleveland on the gospel side. And he also did a lot of gigs with Marilyn McCoo in Vegas. And he has quite a resume. Hmm.
That's cool. So tell me about the music scene as some of the things, some of the stories you remember from the clubs around and some of those type things.
There were so many clubs going on during the time I come up because I didn't get into the club action until I came back from the service in 1968. And at that time, everyone was playing up and down Fifth Street and 7th Street and 10th Street and First Street. You could start down at First and Quindare. There was the Fairfax Inn, which that was strictly blues. And then you would move to Third Street, which was the Seville Club. That was blues. Then you went to Fifth Street, which was there was an array of clubs. You had the 19 hole, the 50-yard line, the In Town Country Club, the Tip Top, and right around the corner there on Sixth Street, you had the Avalon Motel, which behind the Avalon Motel, there was a club there up on the hill called the Pagoda Club. And that was a blues club. And then you moved over to 7th Street, 7th and Quindaro, where you had Seafood Grotto, and they served seafood there, and they also had a small jazz bar there. But directly across the street from that was the Casablanca, and the Casablanca was world renowned. It was known. You had two different types of music in the up front in the club. You had R&B, and then in the back you had jazz, a little small trio that was featuring Marvin Hollenshed at the particular time. It was quite an array of things. You could go anywhere and find music, and most guys we had the opportunity to play. If you were a musician, you could find a place to play.
Hmm.
It was enjoyable. There were so many bands around, so many different bands, Threatening Weather, Joint Session, Clyde Nim Herb, Second Wind. You had blues bands like one of the best blues bands that come through here, and I had the opportunity to play with them with Lawrence Wright and the Starlighters. We were the biggest blues band in Kansas City at the time, 8-piece blues band. And if you can imagine 8 pieces, blues and firing up. I mean, it was the top of the line. We had opportunities to play with different people. I had an array of people that I had the opportunity to play with, including Johnny Taylor, Little Milton, Bobby Womack, Syl Johnson, Curtis Mayfield, Rufus Thomas. Um, and later on, I had the opportunity to play with Bobby Humphrey. I
Hmm.
sung with Lou Rawls
Hmm.
on stage. Um, uh, was nominated Best Male Jazz Vocalist 3 years in a row here in Kansas City. I also had the opportunity to tour a little bit. I've been out of the country about
Yeah.
3, 4 times. Brazil was fantastic. Dominican Republic was off the chain. And I happened to do my first international festival in Osaka, Japan. It was Japan's very first ethnic festival. and it were only three of us from the United States that represented America. One was Benny Powell, who was a trombone player with the Basie Band, myself, and another guy that was living with Benny at the time, his name Talib, saxophonist, great saxophone players. And we had just a ball. It was just fantastic. Um,
You played trumpet in high school or what?
yes, we started out on piano uh, when I was smaller. My mother took piano lessons, and I copied off of her.
Hmm.
And when I got to Northeast, I met Mr. Brady, who was the foundation of the musicians here in the greater Kansas City area. They said he taught over 7,000 students. And any one of his students who got into music and kept it up, at some point in time, they were number one in their area. And that was because of the teaching and how he taught his students. They even went to Paris and did a thing. And I mean, that was fantastic. Here's a high school band that if you put a curtain in front of them, you would swear they were professionals. You would not know the difference. Um, we just did a thing here a little while back for Mr. Brady, a book signing,
Hmm.
and that was good to see him. He's 92 years old, and you can still see the spark in his eye from music. And I mean, to me, if he couldn't play music or be around music anymore, he would not want to be here.
Hmm.
He wouldn't want to be here, and that I know. But the thing is, I kept right on doing my instrumental music, but I took the same teaching and applied it to my vocals, and that helped to push me to where I am now.
You sound like a bass vocalist. Were you always that, or are you a baritone originally?
I was actually a second tenor,
Hmm.
and up until 2011, I had thyroid surgery,
Okay.
and it dropped my voice. And to keep going, it made me work on the lower register. And so as it progressed, I've dealt more with the baritone and the bass side of things. And that's, I feel pretty comfortable there.
What branch of the service were you in?
I was in the Army. We worked on experimental craft, amphibious craft. I was there in Virginia for a couple of years.
No music?
No music. When I went to basic training, I told my sergeant, I said, well, they said, well, they're going to have tryouts for the band. And I said, when they do have the tryouts, let me know so I can try out. So he says, get back with me in a couple of days. 2 days later, I went to my sergeant. I said, are they ready for the tryout? Oh, I forgot to tell you, that was yesterday. And I was a little ticked off because I'm fresh out of high school. I mean, I'm not a number one reader, but I could read music. And I thought I would be a good product for the Army band that was based there at Fort Leonard Wood.
Wow.
But,
Where are you playing at these days?
these days, we're still on the plaza at the Intercontinental Hotel, which is one of the most prestigious hotels in the city. And I am Mr. Brady's oldest student that's still performing
Wow.
and performing in a gracious place. And it's fun. I have a lot of fun doing it. And the guys we play with, we're all around the same age, and we enjoy what we're doing. We have more time behind us than we do in front of us. So we just make to enjoy and be as peaceful as possible.
What advice can you give to this next generation here during these times of, what is it, fake news, untruths, or was it alternate truths
Right.
and all that
AI.
AI and all that? It's
I would say to any musician, whether you're doing vocals or whether you're doing it instrumental, learn a little bit of everything. And I can speak for that on a personal basis. That is how I had the opportunity to go to Japan, because when I do a show or whatever, I do a mix of music. And the people from Japan heard that. And it was what they were looking for. They did not want a one-dimensional musician. There are people who do R&B, jazz, nostalgia, country, whatever. There are a million people doing all that. But when you can mix it all together and incorporate one to the other, then it broadens your horizons. If you do jazz, you can incorporate jazz with blues, or blues with jazz, or with rock. You can incorporate all those things together. A good indication of that would be the group. We got Bruno Mars, and some people do not understand what happened, but what actually happened, he took old school and new school and mixed it. And this is why he have the people behind him, the young crowd, the medium crowd, and the older crowd. Everyone likes what's going on because you can hear a little bit of everything in his music.
How do you want to be remembered?
As someone who was true to what he was doing, his craft, and someone who would help anyone if he could.
All right. Yeah, thanks for the interview.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to get you down in my, what is it, archives.
Yes, this will not be the last one. I'm waiting for another 25 years so we're Black Warner is still here. Yes.
How old are you right now?
I am almost 78 years old.
All right, all right.
That is a blessing according to the things I've been through. I'm a twice cancer survivor and I'm a war veteran. I've been out of the service since 1960. And I enjoy every day that I'm able to get up and move and smile, be happy, because tomorrow is not promised.
All right. And we end on that.
Thank you.
Right on, brother. Right on. Right on.